Hi everyone, Chantel here, and I have the fabulous pleasure of having with me today the wonderful Carolyne Hallett from Homeopathy to Health. Thanks, Carolyne, for being with us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So I first came across Carolyne's path probably about 10 years ago now. It seems crazy. It's been so long ago. But yeah, so Carolyne crossed my path nearly 10 years ago when she was recommended to me by another naturopathic practitioner when we were trying to heal my little man's eczema. She felt that he could benefit from additional homeopathic treatment. And I had to admit, I wasn't exactly sure what homeopathy was all about. I knew something vaguely, and everything, I'm a little bit skeptical, but I was also desperate. and I wanted to make progress. So I thought, sod it, let's do it anyway. And so this lady, along with the other practitioner, has been very instrumental into resolving his eczema, and she's been a real gem in her life, and she is so passionate about homeopathy, which I love, and she's been very generous with her knowledge of homeopathy, which she has empowered me with so much knowledge with that. And it's made a real difference, really, because in many cases I've been able to replace plenty of pharmaceutical medication by using homeopathy instead. And I just think it's wonderful. Kids, well, my experience is predominantly with children with it, and they just respond so beautifully to it. And so I just wanted to bring this more to the forefront and bring more options, because I love including plenty of modalities into whatever treatments we're going through at the moment. And homeopathy is definitely one of those that's high on the list. So before we dive into all things homeopathy, I would love for you to give us a little bit of a background of what ignited this passion for homeopathy for you.
Okay, so desperation, like you experienced, was what brought me to it. I had a little baby who's now 25, and she was a premature baby, and she started to, although when she was born, she was tiny. She didn't have to go into intensive care, but she did start to what they call become a happy wheezer when she was very small. And this sort of progressed onwards. I know who is happy when they wheeze, I do not know, but that was the term they used. And by the time we got to toddler stage, I was starting to get concerned. So I also was very skeptical. So in fact, probably a little bit before she was toddling, I went to see a homeopath, and we took the case, and she sent me off with some remedies for Holly. And before I got a chance to really start giving her the remedies for her wheezing, there was an incident which involved her crawling along, playing a happy game with her dad, and she bumped her head really badly on the skirting board in the hall of our home. And it was so bad, it was like watching a cartoon egg come up on her head. It was awful. And in fact, not being a very brave mum, it was so bad that I had to lie down with her because I thought I was going to say, I've never seen anything like it. And in a moment of panic, I rang the homeopath, and she said, but I gave you arnica. Give her an arnica now. And I put an arnica 200 tablet in her mouth, and I literally watched it deflate like a balloon in front of my eye.
No way.
What I was seeing. And that got me thinking, what is going on here? That's what we call it. It really was an arnica experience. And from that point on, we started to progress, and she's just thrived on it. And it just sparked an interest in me. And I was lucky enough to have a supportive partner. And as a Christmas gift, he bought me a first aid course, which was a couple of hours each evening, once a week for 6 weeks with a homeopath. and it felt like going home. It just resonated. It actually still makes me want to cry. I just felt like I had discovered something that just made such innate sense to me. And from that, I went on to do an investigatory year, and then I did a 4-year training course.
Wow.
And I just still can remember that moment here. I've never seen anything like that in front of my eyes. Extraordinary.
And it's like, well, yay for you taking that on, because I wouldn't even want to think about it, because I don't have to, but I would, you crossed my path, and I don't want to imagine if you didn't cross my path. So
yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. So I know when I came to see you, like I said, I didn't really understand much about, I've known about it. I didn't really understand much about it. I knew they had these little pilules or this little liquid, and my thoughts at the time was, well, it doesn't look like it can do much harm, so I'm going to give it a go anyway. So so I'd love for you to explain a little bit, how exactly does homeopathy work?
Okay. So let's have a look. The general action of homeopathic remedies is that they produce a therapeutic response in each person. And that very subtle energetic response coaxes the metabolism back into balance. So I like to think of it as a little bit like it's a missing part of the jigsaw that you can't find, that you need to complete the puzzle. And the magic is not in those little remedies or the liquid, it's how our body responds and uses them. Because human beings are just, our bodies are so intelligent. We are always trying to reach a place of balance, which is homeostasis. And that's why we give symptoms out. It's like waving at you, going, can you help me? I'm showing
like, help me, I need some help.
And what the remedies do is they allow the body to respond to them and go back into a place of balance. So homeopathy is a system of health. It's not a system of disease, which is where it does differ from conventional medicine. And it can work so beautifully. It's a complementary form of medicine, so it can work beautifully alongside other things. And it's all about trying to restore our vital force back into health. So I can give you a slightly more complicated views of this. So the current thinking on it, for the scientific, is that there are wave patterns, or the resonance of the remedies are imprinted on the solvent or the carrier, which might be water or just the pilules. And when they're made, they are succussed, which is shaking to energize. And it's that stimulates the vital force. That's one of the main ways that remedies work, is the succussion. It's like vitalizing something. And they are all about the minimum dose. So it's taking the energy of something down. I mean, I think anybody who's into quantum physics could look along it like that all the time. Understand that, but it gets out of my depth a little bit. There appears to be a change in the dynamics of the hydrogen bonding in water used in homeopathy. So if that's the carrier, what people can do if they want to have a look at this, if they're struggling a bit, is there was a fantastic Japanese man called Dr. Emoto, and he photographed water, giving it a message, and then freezing them and photographing the crystals. So anybody can look up Dr. Emoto and have a look at this, and that explains how a message can be changed. So the memory of water can be changed, and that's I mean, it is
fascinating. Just so that if I might put that, because I'll do a little blog post for this. So how would you spell Dr. Emoto?
It's Emoto.
Cool. Okay.
Oh my goodness me. So I think that really is a fantastic way of explaining how homeopathy works. And also if you imagine that we're 70% water, so it's just explaining the subtleties of how homeopathy works. So, and as you have said as well, the beautiful thing about it is you know, children and animals who respond so well, as I have to say, do adults. But, you know,
we actually are, we are from the animal kingdom. We forget that sometimes.
You know, and we're energy. We're all made of energy. This is energy medicine. But babies and toddlers and animals don't understand if they're responding to a placebo effect. They don't have any doubts. It just responds to them. So
yeah,
you know, it's kind of a tricky one, but that's how I understand it. And another way to think of it is each of us is like we have our own personal frequency, like a radio station, and the remedies also have frequencies, and it's about lining those up and helping us to get to the root core of what's going on to heal.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like I said, you know, I've probably got my own little medicine cabinet now with homeopathy remedies, and yeah, it's a must-have in our house for sure.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Cool. So what sort of conditions do you think is suited to homeopathy? Is anything specific or is it general?
There are so many things you can treat with remedies, and what I love about it, just to say, this makes me so excited. I might, and I'll give you a list, but it's sort of a never-ending list, really. Say, for example, I'm treating somebody for stress or anxiety or panic attacks. I may have 5 different patients who have this, let's say panic attacks. They experience panic attacks, but they experience it in a very personal way. So because homeopathy and homeopathic remedies are about mind, body, spirit, and the individual, they may each walk away with a different remedy, even though we're treating what goes under the umbrella of the same condition. So that's another beautiful thing about homeopathy, is it is looking at the whole of the person and each individual, and we're not all the same. So that's really important. So
and I can actually attest to that with my 2 kids.
Yeah.
Same thing, same symptoms, different remedies. Drives me nuts.
Glorious as well. You know, I love the way that we're not just treating everybody and you get one, you know, it's not a one.
But it's when you find that one, it's like magic.
Yeah. And of course there are therapeutic prescriptions where you might be, and that might just be an underlying thing supporting somebody's system, where you might start to give sort of some balanced remedies that are pretty similar. But when you start to get to the nitty gritty, it is all about the individual, which is so wonderful. Yeah. So, okay, the list. We'll, on my website later we can see there's a whole one, but here goes. So stress, anxiety, panic attacks, frequent colds, sinuses, hay fever, hormonal issues all across the board, and the physical and mental, you know, things that go with that, coughs, colds, flus, fevers,
shebang.
Whole shebang, grief, insomnia, pregnancy, childbirth.
Yeah.
Oh, it just goes on and on and on, you know, chronic fatigue, ME, colic, digestion.
Wow.
Exhaustion, skin stuff, as we know.
Yeah.
You know, there are a few things that legally you're not allowed to say that you treat. For example, I'm not allowed to say I treat cancer, but we can support people going through these treatments with remedies on many levels. So really, it's oh my goodness me, cystitis, kidney, it just goes on and on.
The list goes on and on. Well, that's the great thing about
exactly.
it, is you can use it just about anything. So it's definitely, I think, a worthwhile modality to have up your sleeve, you know, or in your little bag of tricks, so to speak.
Absolutely it is.
And so with that in mind, actually, so if someone was starting out and going, maybe I wouldn't mind looking into this homeopathy a bit more and wanted to get some remedies for, you know, the common type of ailments, what are some of the best remedies do you think is for someone to start off with?
Okay, so it has to be arnica is the number one remedy. I won't go through what all of them are. Well, I'll give you. So bruises, shock, trauma. Yeah. Number one, overexhaustion is arnica. Then there's apis, which is it's a bee sting. So obviously any stings and bites, that's a great remedy to have. And apis is a big remedy for anything sort of shiny red and swelling. So stings, bites, allergic responses, that's a great remedy.
No, I don't think I have that one. I better get
Sometimes
to
I
it.
combine it with histamine for allergic responses, but Apis is great.
Cool. Yeah.
Belladonna is a wonderful remedy. It is not a poison. It's taken from something, if you were not using it in the homeopathic way, which is where it's diluted, so we're using the energy matching picture, number one remedy for fevers. So that's great to have. All of the remedies I'm going to mention have many different uses, which we'll be here for too long to go into.
Yeah.
But these are the basics, and I can always help anybody with that if they want to know, and they can have a little preview. Mercury is a fantastic fever remedy and sore throat remedy. So if you think of mercury as being like a barometer, when you have a fever and it's going up and down and a sore throat, mercury is a terrific remedy. Rust tox is a great remedy for stiffness, muscle. It's a big muscle remedy. Ruta is big, so that comes a lot into injuries. It's a skin remedy. Actually, perhaps we'll be here for too long, so I'll just give you the list, and if anyone wants to know more. So,
sure.
Ruta, hypericum, Gelsemium, which comes from jasmine, big flu remedy. Chamomilla, number one remedy for teething. Chamomilla 200. Who could live without chamomilla 200? Yeah.
That saved my life.
Yeah.
Going for the teething
I actually gave it to an adult with teething problems who was very grumpy the other day. I thought, chamomilla, very painful. It hurts to tease. That's a great remedy. Aconite, number one remedy for the first sign or symptom of anything coming on. A big shock remedy. That's terrific. Ignatia, big grief remedy, but also deals with all sorts of other things. Pulsatilla, huge remedy, particularly in children, comes up in so many different ways. It's wonderful. Nux vomica, number one liver remedy, so many uses. Over digestion, bit of a hangover remedy as well. It's wonderful.
I've used that one once or twice.
Yeah, we've all been there. Our livers do, more than 3,000 jobs. They need a bit of help. It doesn't just mean they process, they manufacture, but they pick up a lot of slack. So they need some help.
Yeah.
Lycopodium, Hepasulf is a great cough and pain remedy. So many uses. I mean, it's exciting. Lachesis, huge remedy as well, with many different things. Calendula for wound healing comes up so many times. What else have we got? Staphylos aureus is another big remedy. Spongia is a remedy that I find is one of the very useful cough remedies. There are many, but that's terrific.
Yeah.
And I do use quite a few things. I will put in little combinations, like an injury mix for people, a post-op mix.
Yeah.
I've been to the dentist mix, infection mixes that can be put together as well. And that would be a basic kit.
Wonderful.
Start with all of those, and
I can't believe out of some of those, there's actually a few that I don't have. I was just like, well,
we can rectify that.
I should rectify that. So we'll speak about that after.
Yeah, definitely. So, there are so many. I mean, there are remedies that we use all the time. They're called polycrest. They have huge. Every remedy has like a picture telling a story. But then there are little tiny remedies that you might have that you beautifully named thiocyanaminem, which I just love to say, which is a scarring remedy and dissolves scarring. So, and that's pretty much the only action of that remedy. So it's a particular. I mean, I can,
Still amazes me how you remember, like there's so many, and I just think, how does she remember all of this remedy and what they do?
There are so many, but that's what happens when you train and you get used to, how it is.
Absolutely.
But it's still exciting when, there are more out there, more remedies being developed. I'm going on a course shortly called Homeobotanicals, which is combining some herbal tinctures, but used together with I'll tell you when I've done it. Combined with remedies, and yes, they're fantastic for either stimulating and draining, and then allowing the remedy of the.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it should be great. So by stimulating, there may be a key organ that needs a little bit of a push, or there may be by draining one that's a bit overactive. So yeah, there's always more to learn, is what I'm trying to say to you.
Beautiful. Awesome. And so obviously it's not hard to see and tell how passionate you are about it, which I said is one of the things that just, draws me to you. So what is, I suppose, your message to the world?
Please do try homeopathy. It is the most wonderful system. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where there's a lot of flack thrown our way, but I think it's undeserved. We are an inexpensive, wonderful way of keeping people healthy. So I have patients who have come out of desperation. They may have been, you know, with things that they haven't been able to resolve with conventional medicine that get help. Please try it. It really does work. Have a look at some of my testimonials. It's just, I'm constantly utterly thrilled by the things that I see that homeopathy can achieve. People making massive and tiny little changes in their lives that are very subtle. It might be somebody who comes to me, one particular woman comes to mind. She had no one to speak to. She couldn't share her issues, and she shared them with me for the first time with anybody in over, you know, for years and years. And then I started to see her come. She would wear a brighter colour scarf instead of always drab. She would start to go out for walks. You know, people make life changes. It stimulates every part of you. So please don't discount it. Try it. Try to alongside other things, you know, if you need to do that, but give it a go. And please don't expect homeopathy to cure something in 1 month that you've had for 20 years, because quite often if you've had a lot of medications and so on, we need to build up your system so that the remedies can go in and do their job.
That is so true, isn't it? Yep. Absolutely. Wonderful. And so how can people find you online these days?
Okay, so my website is Homeopath to Health. At Atlas, is it atlas.co? Yeah, Homeopath to Health. Oh my goodness me, Chantal, you have to give that again. I'm so used to
It's all right. I will. I'm going to put the
blog
post.
So I have a website. I can be contacted on Skype, so I can treat people all around the world. I can do phone appointments. I'm always happy to respond to emails. It doesn't mean you tie yourself into something. You can come and visit me in London. I practice either from my home or from a Neal's Yard clinic, very local in West London. And the other thing I'd like to say is if you do get the opportunity and you're in London, I now have started doing something that's really exciting, working alongside a cranial sacral therapist. And
you started that.
When you cut, yeah. So it's cranial sacral therapy, which I think it just resonates with homeopathy so beautifully. And we do the cranial sacral therapy, homeopathy, and I'm also a qualified spiritual healer. And we do these combined sessions. So if anyone is able to come and try that, it really is quite wonderful.
Oh, so, love it.
Hold of me. Yeah.
Well, the next time I'm in London, I'll don't know when
Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, phone, Skype, telephone, email, all the usual suspects you can find.
Awesome. So just for those who haven't figured out, Caroline's English, and so she's all the way in London at the moment, and absolutely fine. So
you know, I can post remedies out to people can't get remedies. You know, I think Burundi is the strangest place I'm not even managing to get remedies to at the moment. It can be done. Don't worry about not being able to get hold of. You know, I send them out to all over the world, so that's fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your passion today and all about homeopathy. And like I said, I just think it's a wonderful complementary medicine to include. And we use it for so many things constantly. So definitely just, give it a go and give it time, more importantly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Chantal. It's a privilege to talk to you and to be a homeopath.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, you enjoy your lovely day in London, and we all getting ready to go to sleep.
Okay. I wish you all beautiful dreams, and thank you again.
Thank you. All righty. Bye.
Thanks again. Bye-bye. Bye.